G'day traders, we're going to wrap up for Tuesday the 15th of May. So here we are on the daily, so looking at this candle here, so here's the Tuesday candle, and it was very much the same as how we've been approaching it, pretty much for the last week or two, and the fact is we've got a seller's market. We are sitting underneath resistance area, so you definitely got to see this as a seller's market and realise that pretty much every cash day you're going to get sellers come in, and they're the guys that are in control. But in saying that, we're seeing these streaks of buyers come through, so the sellers aren't having their all way, having it all their own way. And also, in the pre-market, quite often we're getting some strong sellers, and then you're approaching the opening of the cash market where the sellers are a bit exhausted, and you're getting this bounce from the buyers, and it's happening so many times. Today was a bit similar to that. I'll show you on the pre-market. Where are we? So here we go. Here you can see that there's a real push down from sellers. But in saying that, the pre-market actually did push up a bit, but then push down. So just keep in mind that there's some very strong sellers there. It's unlikely it's just going to pop up and keep going down. There's going to be a bounce at some stage. So from there we open the market, and you can see, looking at the 1 minute chart, we've got this real bounce between power points. That's been happening a lot lately, and that's what we say. It's really difficult to trade before 10 o'clock, and of course it's traders just sorting themselves out, and you're going to get this natural bouncing around. You can see it on the 5 minute chart bouncing around, but then all of a sudden, even if it's moving in multiple directions, you get this little bit of a smoothness or a trending look about the market. You can see it trending, and then again in the afternoon, normally that last period of maybe half an hour, again the buyers and the sellers are really sorting themselves out, ending the day, looking at the what's going to happen the next day, that sort of thing. So you get this bouncingness. So I thought that was a good example of crazy markets before, and at the beginning and end of the day. But most of the time you can rely on smooth trending markets, and the 5 minute chart tends to show it quite well. As far as these markets now, so looking at the 5 minute charts, you can see we pushed down, pushed up, pushed down, and then eventually we did pick a bit of a trend and heading up. Then we started getting this pullback here. So technically this is marked as a 5 minute fade, but I'd treat this as a true fade. Approach the two different trades quite differently. When you're looking at a trend and the pullback like that, you got to really take into consideration the daily. So the fact is the dailies were on the sell side, and I just thought at the time there was a bit of pressure pushing down here. If you look at the 1 minute chart, coming back, and then this is the area where we're looking to trade. This is the biggest pullback of the day. There's some sort of momentum forming on the downside there. But in saying that, so certainly it's a 50-50 trade. I wouldn't take it as a buy, I wouldn't take it as a sell. But sometimes these particulars work well as a reversal. To take this as a reversal, it had a bit of pressure on the downside, had the dailies on its side. What I really need to see is the Russell breaking down and maybe below some support levels and more down around this area, as far as the Russell and some of those other markets are concerned. But we didn't have that. The Russell and the other markets were holding high. That was probably the one tick this area had for it. So for that reason, there's some reason to go with it, reason to go with against it. So I wouldn't be buying or selling there. But for the recording system and just as interest sakes, that first retracement or pullback, we've recorded it today. It's a loser. Of course, it goes against the daily. So as is, just looking at every signal, it's 2 from 5. So even though it's 2 winners, 3 losers, you'd still be in front. So that's the interesting thing about this area, that if you manage your trades right, have your wins bigger than losses, I think something like this that shows some value that a lot of times it is going to hold and continue with the trend. I know that this particular does work quite well, and that's what I'll be interested to see when we do get some weeks and months results. You should see that this area can make money, but time will tell with that anyway, and we'll keep an eye on that. I'm actually taking all these trades live too, on reduced contracts, but I want to make sure I'm getting a feel and do it on live money. And like I've said in the past, I'll take every single one with the traders in the continuation trend, so looking for the pullback and buy and get a 1 tick better fill. So that's what I did here. The only time that I won't take the buy, and I'll always take it a buy or sell. So if I don't take the buy, I'll take it as a sell, and that's if I get a reversal signal. So like I said before, this had reasons to reverse, but just didn't have the other markets pushing down. So unless I get all that ticks for a reversal signal, just take it as is, and that's in this case a buying situation. So yeah, for the recording purposes, it goes down as a loss, but overall not a particularly great trade that I'd call an A grade trade or anything like that, or something to call for a trading room. From there we pushed lower, and now it looked like the buyers had this bounce, and I really thought the sellers might go with it here. Considering the dailies, there's nothing really holding the dailies from pushing lower, and we'll see that later on. I'll show you something that happened later in the day. So we're getting this bounce here. So again, considering some sort of retracement or pullback, but the other marks were pushing up quite strongly. So looking at the 1 minute chart, this power point here, quite a risky one, and any sort of retracement on the 5 minute chart, a risky one as well. You can see a lot of pressure on the upside, and it would be very hard to pick some sort of turning point there, and one just to leave alone. And then it became quite evident the buyers were pushing up. So it's around here that really started to think buy for the day. After seeing these sellers come in after this bounce and the buyers coming back and breaking higher, so you can see we've broken up here. Was very interested in some sort of pullback area here. So you can see on the 1 minute chart, here's the power point here. That's sitting quite low. As far as this, it's a lot better to take it here. You can see this is where the bounce came, and that's where the predictive cross down here, so a true fade entry there, and one that would have went to about break even. Didn't push higher, but still had a bit of value in it, and I thought looking for a bit of downward pressure, then a push back up. From there we started to push down a little bit, and then we started pushing back up here, and when you look at the other markets, all the other markets were holding the upside. So it really, considering that we're getting these buyers, and also the other markets were basically holding above this area here, this previous swing high area. So I thought this area had a lot of value, and I just didn't believe the sellers were going to come in again, and I thought this was heading back to the highs. But in hindsight, what is a good buying area failed quite badly, and then you can see all the shift to the sell side. So in the trading room we talked about potentially great sells in this area. That might sound bizarre that we're looking at these what looks like solid buyers, and all of a sudden looking at sells, but quite often there's a real pivot point in the market, and it can happen where you're looking at buyers, then all of a sudden to get a complete shift where a good buying area turns in to sellers coming to the market. That's a real change of momentum, and you can imagine that there's a real shift in pressure, and that's where you're going to get a real push down. So this is actually a high percentage area to sell, even though it wasn't long before that we're looking at the buy side. So hopefully you understand what I mean by that. From there we started to push down. Just really interested in the downside now, and this is kind of lining up with the dailies, and we got a pullback, 5 minute sell here. So this is an area that had a lot of value. All the other markets were holding the downside and pushing lower, and this actually is one I spoke about earlier. Let me just bring up the daily chart again for a second. When I opened up this particular day, you always have upper and lower points that I believe the market can get to. I like to list 3-4 areas on the upside and downside that the market can get to, and as we get to that area, I'll just tick it off and look for the next area. On the upside, obviously there's a lot of things going on, a lot of resistance areas, so there's points that you can mark all through there, and obviously the market has to do a lot to aggressively push upwards. On the downside, we're sitting at a 3-month low. You have to go all the way back to this point here, to find some sort of support levels. For that reason, if the sellers got going, there's nothing holding them back. And if you look at this area here, this is my first support area ahead. If the market started breaking down, you can see the low of that is 13.27. Come back over to the 5 minute charts for a second. Here's the sell signal up here. Now if you really game, and this is all on high side of course, easy to see afterwards, but 13.27 is down here, and you can see it rush down there really quite quickly. That's an 8-point move, so a lot of value there. There was no sort of retracement or anything. It all happened quite quickly, so nothing to kind of make you hesitate and get your points and leave. So there's real value there to the 27. And you can see once it's hit that 27, then we started bouncing around. So the market's held quite true to that support line. So definitely keep an eye on resistance and support areas, and that's where you can potentially go for more points. I'd certainly say in most cases just go for your set levels, and that's the best way to move forward. But occasional bigger trade, something like 8 points, it's going to make a difference to your day, your week, your month. It's going to make a difference to your year. But of course that's in hindsight, but something to keep in mind. Just quickly pop over to the 1 minute charts. So like we said, we got this very bouncy area. We pushed down. The market potentially could have held off that power on this power point here, but like I said, it was getting some downward momentum here, and it didn't quite look like it was going to hold. Although the other markets were holding at the time, so this is definitely one that you could potentially take. We pushed lower, then we came back to this one here. All the other markets were pushing up here, so definitely be leaving these ones alone. And then we got this downward formation, and this here is where. Sorry, no, okay. So again, we're looking for the 10-point trend and then a pullback. So this one here had some value in it. You can see it's coming back to resistance area. So I thought that PowerPoint had some value. We pushed lower, but it's this one down here that we're recording. So this market hadn't quite gone 10 points back here, but by here it definitely had. I think it'd gone about 17 points by now. Looking for the first retracement PowerPoint. Here it is here, and you can see it easily held the market down quite well and got the points there. And then just a bouncy finish to the day. But to go back to what we're recording, like I said, we've covered the 5 minute there. We're 2 from 5 at the moment, but this 10-point trend with taking the first retracement or pullback, proving to work really well. Currently 4 from 4 since recording, so definitely keep an eye out on that. And the second power point after a yellow, that should be 0 from 1, even though it hasn't quite showed up there. It's a signal that doesn't come up a lot, but for interest sakes, definitely want to record it at that moment, just sitting 0 for 1. A lot of information, guys, so hopefully you got something out of that. We'll finish up there and speak to you guys Wednesday.